scene leader fan radio network.
Excuse me?
And KFAN.com. 2 minutes and 30 seconds past the hour, 3 o'clock Central Standard Time. We welcome you back to a Wednesday edition of the Bumper to Bumper program on an exceedingly balmy weekday afternoon here in the Twin Cities of Minneapolis and St. Paul. Guardsy produces the show. My name is Dan Barreiro. We will be with you 6:30.
Yes.
Distance tonight?
Distance tonight. Distance for a while.
And more Wolves action on the Fan tonight?
Last game before the break.
That's it.
Against the Blazers.
There's no hockey, no Wild to compete with.
Right.
And I don't even know when your Golden Gopher men's basketball team next plays, right?
Saturday night against Washington.
There?
Yes, they have kind of like a little bye week this week, and then they play Saturday against Washington, hit Oregon a little bit later, and then
so
come back.
They do the two-step. They go back to back. We're delighted, as I said, you're along for the ride. Bradshaw and Bryant, KFAN text line 64686. And an outstanding guest lineup. We'll give you details on that in just a minute. We will remind you that we will reopen Dr. Dan's inbox tomorrow. If you want to get in on that early, first time in probably a month, if not longer, you can email, you can get ahead of it. Email Guardsy right now, jg@kfan.com. And maybe you get in early. It gets, you make an early impression on him, and you get not only on the list, but perhaps even close to the top of the list as well. As I mentioned, we'll reboot the Bradshaw and Bryant KFAN text line in just a minute. That is 64686. We'll get to some sobering, although perhaps not particularly surprising, news about your favorite football team, the Minnesota Vikings, even before Kevin Seifert joins at 3:30. But it's fair to say that if you are a billionaire, a multi-billionaire, who has some interest, you've established your business, your empire, your wealth someplace else, and you're bored. Sad to say, you are too accustomed to having, $6 billion in investments, and I don't even know, where do billionaires put all of their money? Do you know?
Switzerland, Geneva. That's Switzerland.
I'm trying to figure out how all that works when you.
They've got some that's liquid, probably not just in their checking account.
That's true. It's
a lot of brokerage accounts,
mix and match. But
trusts.
The business that you make your wealth in, maybe it's a business that you find utterly fascinating, or maybe in the beginning you felt it fascinating, but eventually, human nature being what it is, you reached a point where. I'm not going to say you were bored with the money, but you might be bored with the business. So I got to pay attention to it because I can't let that go astray. But I need something else. I need something else that is going to maybe stroke my ego a little bit, inspire me, fascinate me, and maybe you say, I kind of like the notoriety that goes along with it. So, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to look into buying a professional sports franchise. Now, we all know that the prices are going through the roof. StartEvent.com, I think Randball had a treatise on this today, laying out the current numbers, value, alleged worth or value of various, all of our professional franchises. But the question I have at this point is that what all those numbers, I guess, underscore and confirm is it's more expensive than ever to buy a franchise, but it's also eventually going to be incredibly lucrative for you because there's no indication that the value of each of your teams is going to do anything but go up, 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 and up. Now, in the interim, it might be expensive to own the team, and you may not make the profit while you're still owning the team that you like, but eventually, if you get bored with it and say, you know what, I want that money back, right? I feel like I'm $3 billion down. I want to get the $3 billion back, or I'll take the profit I'm going to get at the back end, right? That's sort of how you have to look at it. I bring it up not just because of what's going on here locally, but Did you see the Mark Cuban news?
That he's trying to get back in.
Mark Cuban
Yeah.
now wants to get back in. Now, the early stories indicate that the current ownership of the Mavericks are not interested, or is not interested in giving it back to him. But there's a new group that would, with Cuban, try to make an offer if it was available. Now, another one of the rumors is whether he might end up with the Vegas franchise, but I don't know if that's true. And I don't know why. I don't even remember why Cuban sold originally. Maybe he needed some liquid. Maybe there was something going on. He said, "I need a boatload of cash for a while."
He needed to fund the Indiana football program.
That's what it was. Whatever it was, now he wants back in. Why would he want back in? It's for the thrill of it all, right? It's for the ego gratification of it all. I'm not ripping any of this. I'm not looking down on it. Everybody's got to, billionaires too have a right to.
They do
have some sort of, daily natural high. And for a lot of them, that's owning a sports franchise can be, I guess, exactly that. The question is, why through all of these episodes, confirmations, year after year, decade after decade, of when the average professional sports owner is going to make out okay, and then it's going to come at the end, why has that message, and I this is risky, I offer this up at the risk of further alienated Tom Pohlad, who I know listens to the show. I was told listens to the show almost every day. So I have some trepidation going down this road. But why is it that, so how many generations of Pohlads were you on? Carl Pohlad? Is this the third generation of Pohlads or the fourth?
No, I think this is the third.
Has there ever been a single Pohlad, any of these generations, who seemingly has understood that truism about owning a professional sports franchise? Now, again, here's the caveat. If you are not a multi-billionaire, it gets trickier about how much you're going to spend while you own the team, right? And not immediately get back what you want. But if you're a multi-billionaire, it shouldn't concern you, right? If you need a lot of help, like maybe A-Rod and Lori are the best example.
Right.
They needed a lot of help.
Called Bloomberg in.
They brought Bloomberg in and a couple other people. But I mean, was there something in Carl's will that said to the next generation and the generation after that, if you want the money, what was bequeathed to you, you will never ever consider that truism about sports. You will never acknowledge it. You will never talk about it if you want the money that I'm going to pass along to you. Is there some pact among all the Pohlads?
A Pohlad pact?
Pohlad pact that none of them are ever seemingly able to see what was confirmed again today. The values, what was the number attached to the Twins? Is it 1.7?
That's what I remember.
Now, I don't remember. What did they, was that enough? Was that offered for them when they were talking about selling the team, or was it less than that, and that's what bugged them? I don't remember.
I think it was less. I'm pretty sure it was less, but I don't remember off the top of my head.
Regardless.
I think they sold, I saw somewhere, the minority stakeholders that they just brought in to wipe away their debt.
Yes.
That was a 1.7 valuation, I thought I read.
Oh, was it? Okay.
In terms of the percentages that they got.
All right. I'm just trying to figure out why. And again, I understand there's probably a lot of other owners while they own the team who say, well, you don't get to spend my money. I'll spend it as much as I want, the way I want. But I sense that many of them do get that there's a trade-off that when you want to become or are an owner of a professional sports franchise, which is sort of a pact with the community, that there's a trade-off that you accept. And that, yeah, I'm not going to make as much money as I feel like I should, but I'll get it eventually. Not only that, I'll get a lot more, right? I'll get a hell of a lot more than what previously was the case. Example on, I think the Pohlads bought the Twins. It was in the mid '80s for was it like $45 million, in that range?
Sounds right.
So can you do the math on that?
Oh, boy. No.
How much more than 44 million is 1.7 billion? Isn't that a considerable increase?
That's a good return.
Now, again, that's 16. Let's see, it's 40 years. That's pretty good, isn't it? Every team, obviously, the numbers are through the roof. The Wilfs. You remember what they bought the Vikings for 20 years ago?
I want to say it was like 100 and some million.
No, it was higher than that. 600 million.
Oh, 600 mil. Okay.
Current value, according to the Randball piece, current value, Minnesota Vikings, without a quarterback, $6.28 billion. $6.28 billion. Now, that's where I need the mathematicians to help me. 600 million to 6.28 billion. Is that a bigger percentage-wise increase than buying a team for 44 million and it's now worth 1.7 billion? Because you could see the issue. The Vikings were a lot more expensive on the front end, 600 million. Twins were 44 million. So what's a bigger increase percentage-wise? Fortunately, we will not be able to figure this out on our own, but we have texters who will.
Yeah, and I've asked AI, but they should still double check this. So 44 to the 1.7 billion was like a 2,000%. It's like 2,100% increase.
Okay.
600 million to 6 billion, AI tells me is like 900,000, which doesn't sound right.
No, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. So I don't know. That's why I said.
Somebody will get it to us. Bradshaw and Brian,
but 6 to 600 to 6 billion should be pretty easy. It's going to be a nice, clean percentage.
You're right. It should be. That's true.
Yeah.
It's 10 times as much.
So what would that be?
So 44 million, 1.7 billion is how many times? 44 million times what? See, I can't, because I don't understand. When I get to millions and billions, I'm completely confused. What are you looking at?
It was like 2,000. Is that Brett?
That's Blakemore, Mr. Mathematician over here. He's got no clue. He's pretending he knows. He has no idea.
Probably not. That's a good return on investment.
Watch your Olympic hockey. Anyway, that's we continue to the first ball guy who can solve that mystery about the Pohlads should win the Pulitzer Prize, because no one has been able to get that question answered. Has any Pohlad ever been asked that question? Maybe somewhere along the line, one of them has.
Are you aware of how much more valuable your franchise is now than it was back then? They probably haven't. However, the big theory, the Lavelle theory, is they do understand it, and that's why they're holding on to it, because it's going to be even more valuable in 3 to 5 years when they get the new CBA and the new media rights stuff figured out.
What if they don't get it figured out?
Then they'll just maybe tail between their legs. I don't know.
Bonus bucks?
Yeah, it's not quite the numbers that we're talking about, but it is $1,000 in your hand. It is the bonus bucks. And the first keyword of the afternoon is bank. Go to KFAN.com and enter the keyword bank. Never miss your chance to know what the latest sports news is in town. Chances to win tickets and knowing what's going on with all your favorite KFAN shows. Just follow us on all our social channels, KFAN1003, Instagram, TikTok, X. Now you can stay connected. Follow the sports leader, KFAN.
All right, there's all kinds of mathematicians checking in, and they're all giving me different answers, but here's the simplest one I read that I want to believe. That for the Twins, it's 38 times return. The Vikings, 10 times return. Does that sound right on the basis of the numbers that we quoted?
Sure.
Twins, 38 times their money.
Yeah.
The Pohlads, the Wilfs, 10 times their money.
I mean, the latter definitely sounds right. Because 600 million times 10 would be 6 billion. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, well,
so that makes sense.
I have a lot of suggestions that are... you cannot use direct number comparisons because of the years of difference. Better question, 44 million in 1984 is worth how much today? $600 million. 20 years ago is worth what today? That will give you a better answer. I'm driving, so I cannot answer for you. There's some truth to that, because it's a much longer period of time in the case of the Twins, right, than in the case of what the Wilfs have done. Keep the text coming into the Bradshaw and Brian KFAN text line at 64686. Kevin Seifert, next segment, and then we've got Kessler coming in at 5:30. I should have mentioned this to you earlier. Could you hit our Winter Olympics theme? The Winter Olympics theme that you enjoy playing so much. I do too. God, I love it. Should I wait for the big finish?
Oh, you have to. You got to let the trumpets cook here.
The fastest speed skater alive hails from where? Current.
I have no idea.
Border battle, Wisconsin.
Really?
He already has won his first of what could be 4 gold medals. His name is Jordan Stolz. I'm just going to read you a description and tell me if there's anything familiar about this description.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, I got to turn the TV. I had to reset it, and then I got the volume turned up. If this rings a bell. Jordan Stolz was always destined to be the next great American speed skater. He's got tree trunk thighs.
Yeah.
It's Eric Heiden all over again.
Yeah.
It's apparently the key to great speed skating, at least maybe on the male side. I don't know if it's the same on the female side. Massive thighs are the key to everything.
And Heiden was a Wisconsin guy too, right?
He was. Wisconsin's
Is
got
it about the cheese?
Maybe it is. I'm not exactly sure.
The risotto?
By the way, his coach, he won, I think, last night in the, I want to say it was the 1,000? Let me double check. Yeah. He won Wednesday's 1,000 meter race, and it's expected to be just the start for him. His coach is 75 years old. Bob Corby, considered, I guess in speed skating circles, a legendary coach.
The guru.
And he lured him out of retirement, I guess. Begged him.
The great ones can do that.
And now they're working together, and it could be a historic run. Might not be a Heiden run, but it might be very close to an Eric Heiden run as well. Wisconsin, speed skating, apparently synonymous.
They have that training center that you went to, right?
West Allis?
Yes.
Is it still there?
Yes, I think. In our exhaustive Google searching yesterday, trying to find out what schism you were a part of.
Yeah, I have to look. I don't know. It's hard to look that up because it's so long ago, even by internet standards.
That's apparently the mecca for speed skating. Well, good for them.
Congratulations to Wisconsin and to Jordan Stolz. Grew up in Wisconsin. He's only 21 years old. Is that considered young for a speed skater? I don't know.
think so. Yeah. He's got some years left, I would imagine.
Yeah.
His thighs are only going to get bigger once he grows in, becomes, the old man strength.
Now, the photo I'm looking at, he is indeed, I don't know if this is from the Olympics or not, but he is wearing a cheese wedge on his head. I'm not making it up.
Really? Probably an owner.
Cheese wedge.
Yeah. He's not on the medal stand with that, is he? That would be embarrassing.
I think they strip you of the medal if you do that.
You can't fit the medal over.
He's got a chance to go for 4. Jeff Brand, his first coach, not his current coach, he's very lucky to have been born in this area. Specifically the area that contains the most influential rink.
There it is.
In American speed skating. Although it sounds like that's not in West Allis.
Oh.
The Pettit National Ice Center is in Milwaukee, and it's one of 2 Olympic-grade long-track ovals in the entire country. Why don't we have one of those? Why can't we be a speed skating mecca? We're winter weather wonderland, aren't we?
Yeah,
don't we?
I think we leave it to hockey.
Do we have anything? Do we still have a big facility in Blaine that's got covers all kinds of sports?
It does. And that was actually the first thought I had is that would be the place to do it. They've got the super rink. They've got all the fields.
He started paying attention, becoming obsessed with speed skating when he was 5. 5 years old. That was his dream.
Speed skaters are born.
Obsessed with American short track legend Apollo Anton Ono.
I could see that.
His father, Stolz's father, is named Dirk. deputy sheriff. And he did what any Wisconsin dad would do. He made the bitterly cold climate work for his kids. The Stoles family had a pond in their backyard in, I'm going to mangle this pronunciation, Kewaskum?
Okay, near the Dells.
Kewaskum, Wisconsin. Dirk hooked a plow to his ATV to shove snow off of the frozen surface, cleared enough space for a miniature oval, erected lights so that practice did not have to end when the short winter days did. Jane was kind of against it, talking about, this is Dirk talking about Stoles' mother, because she didn't want the kids to fall through the ice. So we put on life jackets. That was the compromise. But did he just win another gold?
No, but what time's your apology to Minnesota speed skating? We have an oval.
Do we have one of the other? Is that the other oval they're talking about then?
I don't know. It's in Roseville.
Well, why don't we have better speed skaters then?
That's a great question.
Or do we?
I'm looking at it right now. It looks like a bunch of families just having a great time. That's not going to develop Olympic champions.
No, that's not. That's cute.
No time for family fun day.
What are you talking about here?
You think they're doing that in Milwaukee?
It was the nearby rink without a drowning hazard that changed the course of Stoll's career. When his parents went looking for a space where the budding phenom might have the chance to grow into a larger loop, they settled on the Pettit. He would have been a good skater no matter what, but it would have been a long time until he found the right track. I love these stories. There's always a backstory, right? When somebody becomes, ascends to a place of greatness and achievement in the Olympics or whatever it might be. It began somewhere a long time ago.
That's exactly right.
It began, in some cases, 16, 17 years earlier with what mom and dad did to commit to the bit, to do what they could. Imagine that feeling of satisfaction now, one would assume, right? Now that your kids already got a gold and a chance to win 3 more, become Olympic immortality. That's what the whole thing is. That's what makes it interesting. And I had never heard of him.
Me neither.
Until 2 days ago.
I hadn't heard of him until 3/17.
It's tremendous. I said this before. I'll say it again. And I know it's not. You need a subscription. The most underrated sports section online in America is the Wall Street Journal. They don't cover everything, but what they do cover, they will cover well, and they find great hidden stories and great angles. I couldn't recommend that sports section more than I do.
Are you done with the Olympics?
Yeah.
You got to put a lid on it, too.
Bookend it?
Yeah, you got to go front end, back end. Could have played the shorter one, but why?
No.
Need the full 30.
We only got, 10 more days of this? Let's milk it. Yeah, it's probably less than that at this point. Oh, that's pretty good.
I just don't hear him playing this at the Oval in Roseville.
I hate to say it, but get the families off the ice. Get them off the Oval. I mean, it's cute and everything, but get them off of there. Are we about serious business or not?
Right. Do you think they're letting families just go at all these curling clubs? No, they're letting the curlers go.
You are 100% correct. I got a good curling angle for you later as well. Let's get to a pause, bottom of the hour. What's going on? Sweden is in a Donnybrook with Italy in men's hockey. It's 2-2.
For Micheletti. Louis kept him off the ice 40 years ago.
That's it.
For Micheletti.
That's too good. All right, we got Seifert next. Yeah. Guardsy, you're a great Olympic mind. There's no question about that. How aware are you of the vaunted home ice advantage for the Italian national Olympic team?
I imagine it's pretty big.
Sweden has been played to a standstill here. Even though, here's shots on goal.
Yeah.
Sweden 39, Italy 11. And isn't that Gustafsson for them, for Sweden?
It could be.
Double check that. I'm pretty sure it is.
We'll see who's in net.
I thought I saw a tweet from somebody that one of the goals was kind of soft.
Oh, boy.
39-11 shots on goal. And it's 2-2 late in period 2.
Yeah, look at all that yellow in there.
Yeah. I'm just saying. But maybe we're underestimating the house of pain that this is for any visiting team when the Italian hockey team is hosting. Who's to say?
We saw it in Lake Placid for us, right?
We did, didn't we?
We saw it, and we've seen it over and over again, including in the latest documentary.
Kevin Seifert is in the house. You got questions for him on hockey, questions for him on football, whatever it might be. 64686. That is
just scored.
They did go ahead?
Yep.
Bradshaw and Bryant, KFAN text line.
Goal.
So they do now have a 3-2 lead. Welcome back.
Thank you.
I think this broke a couple of days ago. Maybe it was even earlier. We are tied. We being the Vikings are tied when it comes to Super Bowl odds. We enter the 2000. Well, I guess a lot could change between now and then, but right now we are tied at 19th for 19th best odds to make it to the Super Bowl. Does that sound
Did you make a poster of that?
It's a commemorative print.
Yeah.
Does that sound about right? I mean, that's pretty negative. I mean, I don't know how the Wilfs are going to feel about that.
We just put out our way too early power rankings at ESPN, and I think they were around 20, 22, somewhere around there. So it all comes together. And 2 years ago, nobody thought they would do anything. I think their over/under for wins was like 6.5, and they ended up with 14. So. This is the fuel that will push their offseason to new heights.
We've got a lot to discuss. What's the last story? Was the last story you wrote the one I quoted where you said when it comes to the quarterback position, all bets are off?
I did write that. That was at the end of last week.
Right?
And so, people like you always like to try to read into what I put out there.
Itself.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. Like that phrase actually had a lot of people interpreting in different ways, and I would never have intended that.
Don't pretend. You love. You're one of those sneaky shock jocks. You fly under the radar, but you still penetrate.
You have to craft a sentence so that when whatever happens, you can then go back and say, "Well, see, I kind of hinted at that all along."
That's true.
No, the point of that was to say that the circumstances we thought we were in a month ago, as it relates to the quarterback and anything as it relates to the Vikings, have changed. Substantively with the firing of Kwesi Adofo-Mensah. And so the general manager who drafted J.J. McCarthy is now no longer with the team. And the coach who signed off on drafting J.J. McCarthy is, I think, under considerably more scrutiny now because he's the other of the two stakeholders in that decision. And so it doesn't mean that they will not end up in the more or less the same spot that we thought, but I think we have to give more consideration and less bracketing to what we thought was going to happen, which was that they would sign somebody to go along with JJ and be a hedge to him either being hurt again or being unable to make the necessary improvements. And so I think at least at this very moment, and 2 weeks before the combine, we have to consider all possibilities as being realistic. From the one end of saying this is going out and getting the absolute best starter they can possibly find, starting with the Joe Burrows of the world, to the other end of the spectrum of just fire sailing the roster and just going young and saying it's JJ or bust. And so I think we would have ruled out probably that latter scenario had Kwesi remained, and who knows what the where it's going to lead. But that's really what I meant by all bets are off, is that it's really hard to handicap when there's new people involved in the decisions.
Well, here's how I interpreted it, and my guess is when it's convenient, you'll say that's exactly how I meant it. When it's not, when it's inconvenient, you'll say it had nothing to do with what I was saying, and you're interpreting it wrong. I took it to mean all bets are off means the following. Whatever loyalty that KOC previously might have felt for J.J. McCarthy as sticking with the plan is gone. That doesn't mean he can't still be the guy,
right? But
it means there's every bit as much of a chance that it's going to be somebody else at the beginning competing and then taking the job. That's how I interpreted all bets are off.
Yeah, and I don't think there's too much daylight between what I said and you said. I think that probably puts it on a finer point. And really, it just means, I don't think we should rule out much at this very moment in time.
All right, let's do stream of consciousness here. I have in front of me. Do you remember? You've been around here a while. Are you familiar with Tiny Joe Nelson?
Yeah.
Used to work at the Fan.
Yeah.
These days, he's Bring Me the News and Bring Me the Sports Guy.
Yeah.
He's compiled a list of 10 quarterbacks.
Okay.
For conversation's sake, in the mix. So on any of these, I want to go through all 10 with you. I mean, some of them are obvious, but we can have some fun with this. And you don't have to go, I guess, in depth on any of them. He ranks them as well. I don't know if he meant to rank them, because some of these rankings, I guess maybe he did. I'm not sure.
Alphabetical order?
No, they're not. So Number 1 is J.J. McCarthy. So give me your best J.J. McCarthy speech as it stands right now about what's going to be the key to indicate to you that that even if it's gotten shakier, this can still be the guy for this team.
I mean, some of it's going to be, for me, gauging how they're talking about him, because we were now about a month or so after the season, and this would be the time when he would go deep into the lab and start working on all the fundamentals and the other issues that we talked a lot about during the season. This is the perfect time to do that, whether he's going in and doing the full Josh Allen and revamping his entire throwing motion, or revamping all of his lower body, or like doing something pretty radical to make himself essentially a different body and a different thrower by the time OTAs start. Like that, this would be the time. He's been pretty underground, at least from a public standpoint. So maybe that is what he's doing. I don't know. And so that's, I'll start by saying, like, I'll take cues from how they're talking about him. And, last month they were talking about him in pretty neutral terms, I think.
More so than before, fair to say.
As far as his short-term future, yes. For sure. Like, there was no, this guy's our franchise quarterback or anything. And so it's just fair. Like, we would have ripped him for saying that, probably, based on what we saw last year. And so that's where I'll start, is gauging how they are talking about it.
Is it fair to say he should perhaps, and I'm not saying this is the key to whether he can move forward and become the franchise quarterback, but that he might be better advised to not be apparently as consumed as he is about whatever his Insta profile is. Guardsy's telling me that seems to change like every 15 minutes.
On the list of things that I'm worried about with JJ, his frequent changing of his profile photo, even though people of our age have one and it stays until
I'm not even on Insta. I don't even know what Insta is.
What was it? Oh, okay, Bill Belichick.
No, I honestly, I guess I do know what it is, but I've never been.
But it's the same thing as for Twitter or X.
Yeah,
like you have a picture and it's your profile picture, and his changes a lot. And I have noticed.
He's a deep thinker. It depends on the day.
I would say on the list of concerns about him, like that wouldn't be on it.
It's higher for me than you. It's just priority. Just don't worry about it.
Don't be the guy it is to change. Like,
and on the bench, he's always telling. It's just don't perform like you want to be the quarterback. Be the quarterback. Just make the plays, I would say.
That could be true, and he could change his Instagram profile photo every day.
All right, number 2, Joe Burrow. Utter pipe dream?
Yes.
Not even worth talking about in much detail. Because we all know they would be interested, but...
Yeah, the only way he was going to be available anyways if he drew the line and said to the Bengals, like, I will not be in your building ever again. So you can do as you like, And
he has not said that.
That we're aware of. No, he was at the Pro Bowl, and there was no, or the Pro Bowl games, as we call them now, and there was no indication that he's trying to push himself out. If it were happening behind the scenes and hadn't gotten out yet, that wouldn't be the first time, but... we don't know anything to suggest that he himself is trying to get out, let alone that the Bengals would be willing to do it.
Are these sentences kind of juicy, or are they reckless? Trading for Burrow seems unrealistic right now, but what if he requests a trade? What if the Vikings are the team rumored to be pushing the league to increase tradable draft picks from 3 years in the future to 5, and they're doing that to up the ante in an offer for Burrow?
Yeah. I don't know that if it was just the Vikings doing that the league would even be considering it. Schefter has reported today, I think, that he expects a lot more trades in general this offseason because the free agent class is not great and the draft class at some positions is not great. And teams that are trying to improve their rosters, like that's the only other options: free agency, draft, or trade. And so he thinks that there's already a feeling that there's going to be a lot more interest in the trade market. And, I'd be curious to see how that would really work, because, when you get beyond a few years, the current 3 years in terms of like what's the value of a first round pick in 5 years. Like that, I mean, it's not that you can't figure it out, but I don't know exactly what that is and how much more that adds to a package. You guys in the NBA love to do that and trade the first round pick in 2072.
Pretty much.
But that has not yet. So there would have to be a lot figured out in terms of what the value of those future picks are. But there is a sense that, whether it's they would allow for that or not, that there's going to be more trades this offseason as a result of the value of the class and the free agent class and the draft class.
Lamar Jackson.
It does not sound like everything about the new coach in Baltimore sounds like he wants him to be there, but
aren't they already working on an extension?
They're working on they have to do it like that deal has been tough for the Ravens before in part because Lamar Jackson doesn't have an agent, and in part because it's just a tough. When you get to the numbers that the best quarterbacks in the league are at, that's a very tough negotiation. So if talks were to break down, but it certainly doesn't seem like there's any indication that the Ravens are eager to move on from him.
Kyler Murray.
That's the name that seems the most realistic in terms of who's going to be available and if the nexus of availability and talent would seem to be the most realistic high point.
Do you buy the notion that a day 3 pick could be enough to get him?
I guess if you're paying all the contract and all that. And so pardon me on the Kyler Murray thing is I guess I don't know, which way to look at it yet, but if you look at the Arizona Cardinals over the past decade, and I wish I had looked at the exact one, but they've got to be in the top 5 of the worst winning percentages in the league. And if you're on the Arizona, if you're a quarterback on the Arizona Cardinals roster and they don't want you to play quarterback for them, and there's really the option would be Jacoby Brissett, or who's a longtime journeyman, and then you have to question why. And is it because the Cardinals are such a messed up organization that they don't recognize that they have a really good guy there and can't make it work, or are there some structural issues there with him that would bring the value down?
Some of the Kyler Obos say, well, look, he's only 28.
Yeah.
And he really, has not been healthy for much of for the last 5 years. But I would say then that's also a bit of an indictment because you already got in JJ a guy who's having difficulty staying healthy. So what's to say that Kyler Murray, several years into his career, is going to be able to break that tradition of getting hurt almost every season?
Yeah, and sometimes it's because of the way he plays. I mean, he runs a lot and he's out of the pocket, and he's pretty good about not taking direct hits. I just have watched him over the years, and there's some guys who run a lot and just get a lot of direct hits, and he's pretty good at not having that happen. But he still has suffered a lot of the injury. So I agree, that's but if you're able to get him for very little draft value, and I mean, but if you're taking on that full contract, that's not nothing. And so that would seem to me like there'd have to be a certain level of conviction and not just a flyer. If he gets cut, if they end up not being able to get anything for him, then that is an entirely different discussion. Yes. But you'd have to have some conviction that that you want him to be your quarterback for this year.
Mac Jones.
Well, Schefter is reporting that they're not going to trade him, but that's also
part of the game.
Yeah, and I think, and he acknowledged that, but I don't feel like that's every one of these guys is going to be somebody who there's just as many reasons to talk yourself out of it as into it, and so that's just the nature, and that's why the Vikings work so hard to try to draft their own guy so they wouldn't have to continue this generation after generation sifting through the available guys and trying to talk Dan Marino out of retirement and bringing Warren Moon in at age 57 or whatever he was, or Brett Favre at age 42, or Aaron Rodgers who wants to come here at age 40. That's the whole thing that they were trying to stop. And so there's such a part of me that even though I saw everything that we saw with JJ is whatever the risks of him are, it feels like a lot of those other guys are going to carry at least as much.
Aaron Rodgers.
I mean, there's still some people in the building, I think, who are fans
Well,
of.
didn't Aaron Jones just say something about him?
Did he? Yeah. Well,
I thought he
they're
had
close.
some podcast.
Well, he was
and
he was at the Super Bowl and did some.
Is that what
stuff.
it was?
Yeah.
And then did I miss it? Did Justin Jefferson say something about him, or is that made up?
They might have asked him about it, but I think Justin was. I know he talked about had they kept Sam Darnold, that would have actually played better, and so and again, that's not breaking news, and people have said, well, if Rodgers is going to play next year, it'll be with the Steelers because of Mike McCarthy, and I do think that they have managed to patch up whatever was plaguing them at the end of their time together in Green Bay, but I don't know if that's a lock. I don't know if Aaron Rodgers wants to play at all. I don't know if he knows if he wants to play at all, but I think there's probably some people in the building who would still feel like they'd be better off doing that so I wouldn't rule that one out.
Derek Carr?
Well, that one, that was interesting.
New one.
I thought, my first thought was it came up because, he had played for Clint Kubiak when Clint Kubiak was the offensive coordinator in New Orleans, and that maybe Derek Carr goes back to the Raiders now that Kubiak was there, and that was opening up the door for that. But I've kind of joked over the years that the Vikings would have to go out and get, whoever next year's Derek Carr is, and sometimes next year's Derek Carr is Derek Carr. So, they're in a position where if he really does want to play and he is healthy, that would have to be somebody they'd have to consider.
Malik Willis.
I would assume that he's going to find a clearer path to playing next year.
Yep.
But he certainly, Matt LaFleur certainly got a lot out of him, a lot more than what Tennessee got out of him earlier in his career. And we've seen for ourselves what can happen to talented people as they get older in the Sam Darnold paradigm. And so, but I would think that based on quarterback need around the league, if his goal was just to flat out go to the place where he has the best chance of playing, it would be somewhere else.
Kirk O'Chains?
I've been saying all along it might be the best case scenario for a lot of reasons. And the one thing to think through is he's not coming for the league minimum, and so you'd have to deal with the usual business negotiations.
Shouldn't he have to pay the Vikings this time?
Yes, I think that's what they should do. They should get him and his agent into a room and say, "Here's our offer to you. You give us $10 million to come play for us this year,
and we'll give you a chance,
and that'll work
to be the starter."
I think that'll work.
Well, probably not. But does he have any? Do you think he showed enough to think? Again, as you said, all these are imperfect, so you're not going to get perfection with any of these guys. But did he show enough for you to think, there's, if you had to, he could?
Yeah.
Think so?
For 1 year, you wouldn't want it to be any more than that, and I don't know what he'd be looking for, but I think for what they need, which is a steady veteran hand in the event that the guy they drafted 2 years ago is not going to be ready or isn't healthy, then I think that he could fit that bill.
Anthony Richardson.
That's a project, and if you acquire him, that's almost like a side project that maybe works out in a few years or a vanity project or whatever. But I feel like things are intense enough and the organization's under enough scrutiny that taking on something like that may or may not be in your best interest.
Well, the speculation is that the Vikings liked him coming out of college and KOC is in love with him.
Yeah.
But for the reasons you just laid out, I don't think KOC can afford it. It's a vanity project, which you can do if you got something else right now that you're sure of.
Yeah.
But the other thing is no sure thing. So you can't basically have two kinds of projects at the same time and try to pick between the two. I don't think.
No, that would just be in addition to.
Yes.
So if they were to bring in a Kirk Cousins to go with JJ, and if you want to bring in Anthony Richardson and you have a quarterbacks coach, an assistant quarterbacks coach. You have a lot of other people on your staff who are good with quarterbacks, and you want to have him, work with him after practice and do all those sort of things. Then have at it. But I wouldn't think that they would consider him as a possibility to be competing for the job.
Interesting question for you about Josh McCown's responsibility and role in McCarthy's development. Bryce Young seemed to improve a lot after Josh left. Or did Josh lay the foundation for that? That's KC, a Vikings fan living in Wisconsin.
Yeah, if I have my timetable right, Josh McCown and Frank Reich was Frank Reich's hire when Frank Reich was the head coach in Carolina, and they were fired like halfway through his rookie season. So if we want to judge him for what the work that he did in a half season, then I guess that would, we can do that. But I don't know that that is entirely indicative of the work that he did. And if you want to, and if you do, then you should give him just as much credit for Sam Darnold and how that all worked out. And so I will say that, I believe at least part of evaluating assistant coaches has to be outcome based the same way as head coaches. And if you're like Keenan McCardell, it's the Vikings wide receivers coach, and you're churning out good players pretty regularly and finding people in the draft, the second or third day of the draft that eventually turn out to be pretty good players like Jalen Naylor, then I think you get credit for that, even if you're saying, well, you're giving him credit for Justin Jefferson, who was going to be good anyway. Well, no, because that's part of it. Like, you're going to rip him for. So long story short, I do think that Josh McCown, as the quarterback's coach for a quarterback that got drafted and then played poorly for a good portion of his first season as a starter, he gets some scrutiny for that, and the same way he gets credit for Sam Darnold, even if Sam Darnold was going to do well for any quarterback's coach. I think that's part of how it works. And so I think that there was way too many people in the league who saw Josh during his time as a player, and the way he interacted with his teammates and with coaches and demonstrated scheme knowledge and just all the different things that go into being a quarterback, a good quarterback, and also later a good coach, that was all in there with him. And I think that he's still pretty well thought of around the league. But I agree, it's fair to say, look, like the guy he's got three people in his room, and one, when they got on the field last year, it didn't really go so well. We got a top of the hour break. Kevin Seifert is in studio, ESPN.com. He's going to give us the local angle on speed skating. A little reminder he gave me as he came into the studio. And then we got an interesting text on Minnesota speed skating history. And we got a couple of other things to get to, Vikings related. Don't forget, it'll be Kessler, I believe, in studio. He is scheduled for about 5:30.